In November 2024, 43 rhesus macaque monkeys escaped from Alpha Genesis Inc., a research facility in South Carolina. This incident, along with previous escapes, exposed the inherent flaws and ethical failings of lab monkey testing. The public was rightly outraged. These escapes are not isolated events. They are symptomatic of a system that prioritizes scientific research over animal welfare. Confining intelligent and social animals to cramped, barren cages causes immense psychological distress. Monkeys in laboratories exhibit abnormal behaviors such as self-harm and repetitive movements, clear signs of their suffering. Despite growing public opposition, institutions like the NIH continue to funnel millions of taxpayer dollars into primate research. This funding fuels a cruel and outdated industry. This incident at Alpha Genesis ignited a firestorm of criticism. Lawmakers and animal welfare organizations demanded greater transparency and accountability. The Humane Society of the United States, a staunch opponent of primate testing, intensified its fight against facilities like Alpha Genesis. The public is increasingly aware of the plight of lab monkeys and is demanding change. We must question the ethics of a system that subjects sentient beings to such suffering. The pursuit of scientific knowledge should not come at the cost of compassion. It is time to acknowledge that lab monkey testing is not only cruel, but also a broken system in dire need of reform. Beyond the ethical considerations, the scientific validity of using monkeys as test subjects is increasingly being challenged. Monkeys and humans may share some genetic similarities, but their physiological differences often lead to misleading results. What works on a monkey may not necessarily translate to humans. Drugs that showed promise in monkey trials have failed in human trials, costing valuable time and resources in the development of life-saving treatments. For example, HIV vaccines effective in monkeys have consistently proven ineffective in humans. These failures highlight the limitations of using animals as proxies for humans in research. Emerging evidence suggests that human-based research methods are more accurate and reliable. Advanced computer modeling, cell cultures, and organ-on-a-chip technologies offer promising alternatives that are not only more ethical, but also potentially more effective. Investing in these innovative methods holds the key to scientific breakthroughs. The reliance on outdated animal testing methods is holding back scientific progress. It is time to shift our focus towards human-relevant research that is both ethical and scientifically sound. The lives of countless monkeys and the hope for effective treatments depend on it. The good news is that alternatives to animal testing are rapidly advancing. These innovative methods offer hope for a future where scientific progress no longer relies on the suffering of animals. Computer simulations, for example, can predict the effects of drugs on the human body with increasing accuracy. Organoids, three-dimensional tissues grown from human cells, provide realistic models for studying diseases and testing potential treatments. These alternatives are not only more humane, but often more cost-effective and efficient than traditional animal testing. They represent a win-win situation for both science and animal welfare. The NIH, recognizing the potential of these alternatives, has launched initiatives to accelerate their development and adoption. However, more funding and support are needed to ensure a complete transition away from animal testing. This requires a paradigm shift in scientific research, moving away from outdated animal models towards human-relevant methods. The future of scientific research is humane and innovative. By embracing alternatives to animal testing, we can advance medical knowledge while upholding our ethical responsibility to protect animals from unnecessary suffering. This is the future we must strive for. The evidence is clear. Lab monkey testing is a cruel and outdated practice that no longer aligns with our scientific understanding or ethical values. The recent escapes, the questionable scientific validity, and the availability of humane alternatives all point to the urgent need for change. We must act now to end this suffering. Our voices matter. By supporting organizations fighting against animal testing, contacting our elected officials, and demanding transparency from research institutions, we can create a world where monkeys are no longer confined to laboratory cages. Each one of us has the power to make a difference. The transition to a more humane and effective scientific landscape requires a collective effort. Scientists, policymakers, and the public must work together to accelerate the development and adoption of alternatives to animal testing. This is not just about protecting monkeys. It is about creating a better future for all living beings. We stand at a crossroads. We can continue down the path of outdated and cruel animal testing, or choose a more compassionate and scientifically sound approach. The time for change is now. Let us choose compassion, innovation, and a future free from animal suffering.